but if you want to introduce yourself to everybody real quick, go for it. Let us know who you are.
Absolutely. So my name is Corey Samuels. I am one of the contestants from the show Lego Masters. Me and my brother were the team. The brothers from Jersey is what they called us. So we had a great time on the show, and we just have a great time in general with each other. My brother and I have been playing with Lego ever since we were kids. I started playing with them first when I was around 4 or 5 years old. And then when my brother was born, I kept trying to get him to play with it as a baby, but clearly that wasn't going to work because he's a baby. So I ended up waiting a little bit for him to get a little bit older before I introduced him to Lego. And Lego was like our ultimate toy. Like we made everything out of Lego. Like, for example, our parents didn't buy us toys when we were younger, so we just built them. So if we wanted to make like an X-wing or something like that, we just made it, right? If we wanted to make like I don't know, like let's say we wanted to make a big action figure or something like that, we just made it. That's what we did. We just did these things with Lego because Lego was like our ultimate toy, and we just had so much fun building with each other and just learning with each other. And as we got older, we started doing and playing with other things and stuff like that. And then Lego Masters gave us the opportunity to build with an unlimited amount of Lego. And that was just amazing for us. We just had a great time doing that. And, and now we are so excited because we have opportunities to do more stuff with Lego. And this huge opportunity that we can now kind of confirm is that me and my brother are going to be back on TV in November.
Oh,
yeah. So
doing what?
It's going to be with Lego. It's going to be we're going to be doing something similar to Lego Masters, but we're going to be building something huge with Lego pieces. And
that's awesome.
All we can really tell you is that it's going to be on the Food Network. And
what?
yeah, so please keep your eyes open on the Food Network. You're going to see some advertisements coming up pretty soon. And you're going to see the Brothers Who Brick, my brother and I, and a couple of special friends are joining us as we team up to build something amazing. So just keep your eyes open on the Food Network, and you'll start to see some advertisements pretty soon.
That sounds amazing, and I will definitely watch. You were one of my favorite teams, and I was heartbroken when you guys got eliminated.
Yes,
we really like no shift over. Like, choose the other team.
we were too, but it's a learning experience, and the experience of just being able to get to know new people. And the beautiful thing about this Lego community is that even though we're in a competition, it wasn't a competition. It was literally heartbreaking when we had to go, and when other teams were slowly eliminated. It was heartbreaking, and it was felt every single week, and as it got to like the last 3 competitive teams, it was a competition, but it was still heartbreaking because, like, man, we don't have our brothers and sisters alongside us. And
so just to launch off here into the discussion for the hour. So your brother actually came up with the name for this session, which is called Building Our Voices. Yeah. And I'm just curious, again, the answer is going to a mixed age audience of very young and then adult fans are listening as well. What does Building Our Voices mean to you?
To me, Building Our Voices is basically the way we build with Lego. If you think about it, with Lego, we're using all types of colors in order to build something, great, something tremendous. We're using all different colors. It's very rare that you see a Lego builder just building with one particular set of colors. There's all colors. So we need those colors in order to bring stuff together. So when Travis came up with it, and I hope he comes on so he can kind of tell you more of his mindset, but we kind of think alike. When he said building with our voices, our voices, we represent Lego pieces in a way.
Yeah.
You know, there's different shades of us, there's different colors, we have different nationalities, different preferences. We're all different people. And I can't build a masterpiece with just a bunch of Corys, right? Travis can't build a masterpiece with just a bunch of Travises. I need Corey, I need Travis, I need Mark, I need Matilda, I need Ashton, I need all these other pieces in order for us to be a masterpiece. So that's how I interpret building our voices. If all of our voices come together and we speak together and we learn from each other, then we can build masterpieces. That's how I interpret it.
So you're the older brother, correct?
Yes. Thank you for asking that question in that way.
You're very welcome. When you guys were young and you started letting him play with Lego so that he was at the age where he would not choke on them or mess yours up, did you guys have other friends who lived near you, or other like family members, cousins who played Lego with Lego bricks as well? I almost said Legos.
So it was our relationship, me and my brother, was very, very interesting because our family, most of our cousins, they live in the Caribbean. So they lived thousands of miles away. So playing with them was not a thing. And Lego for them wasn't a thing in the islands because, back in those days when we were younger, there weren't a lot of mainstream toys that were available for them. It was just like kind of the basic stuff, right? And my mom was very protective, overly protective of us. So we really didn't have an opportunity to play with other kids that liked Lego, because it was like, oh, you have your brother, so that's all the friends you're going to need. So a lot of times we would go to school and then we would come straight home and it would just be me and my brother playing with Lego. So it wasn't until we were like a little bit older when we started playing with video games, and our mother would allow us to have friends over to play video games. But I guess Lego was kind of like me and Travis's thing. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a thing like, oh, our friends are going to bring their Lego sets over and we're all going to play together. It was really just me and Travis that were our best friends, to where we only played with Lego together. We played other things with everybody else, but when it came to Lego, we only played Lego together. And that's kind of like how our mom kind of raised us. Our dad really didn't care as far as like who we had as friends and who we brought over, but our mom was like the super overprotective mom. So
gotcha.
So we end up only playing with Lego with each other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that was more like her influence? Did she somehow influence you to only play with Lego bricks with each other?
Yeah, I think it was I think the fact that Lego was kind of like the toy where we can be creative. Mm-hmm. And that's like something that our mother really wanted to bring out in us. Like our dad, he would always tell us that, read your books, study hard and all that stuff. But when it came to creativeness, he would always encourage us to draw. And our mom was like, well, we'll just get you Lego and you can just build with Lego. Because Lego would literally, you wouldn't hear from me and Travis for hours when it came to Lego. Like once we got Lego and we put it in our room and we closed the door, like that was it. Like it would be from like 11 a.m. to like 6 p.m. And then my mom would like, hey, you guys hungry? And we wouldn't even respond because we're just so immersed in our world of building with Lego that nothing else mattered. So when my mom saw that and we weren't like watching TV a lot and we weren't like doing other things like going outside and playing with other kids,
right,
she would just keep buying Lego to kind of just keep us in that world and just keep us together. And that was like her main thing, us being together and us building together. That was like her thing. She didn't care for Lego. She didn't know anything about Lego. She just said, oh, this is the toy that my sons are connected to and they're connecting each other to it. I'm just going to keep feeding that connection.
Excellent. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I think I got similar feedback from my parents that like when I would just disappear for hours when I went off to build something, and they'd be like, where did he go? And I'd be up in my room building something, of course. So when you're not building a set, when you're building your own creation, just like Ashton's Dragon, what is your favorite theme to build in when you're being your most creative?
That's a great question. I think my favorite thing to build is pop culture, comic book pop culture.
Cool.
Right now.
Cool.
I literally, when I started getting back into Lego as an adult, I started with just building cars. I love cars. I love working on cars. I'm not a mechanic, but I can do a lot of things with cars. But I started building the Lego Speed Champion sets. And then I started to go into the Marvel sets. And then I said, you know what, I want to start trying to do pop culture type of cars, like things that really nostalgic type of things. So I could show you one of my proudest, well, not my proudest. My proudest is my gauntlets, which I'm gonna display hopefully later on today. But one of my most technical achievements is my Optimus Prime here that I built, and this is the one thing that I really wanted to challenge myself in building. It stands up, which I'm very happy about. It transforms, which I'm happy about as well.
Yeah.
And that was just like when I started building this mock, I kept changing it constantly because I wanted to look like Optimus Prime, and I wanted to even though the colors and all that stuff matches, I want someone to look at it and be like, oh wow, that's incredibly detailed. And that's my whole thing when it comes to building my mocks. I want my mocks to be incredibly detailed, to whereas even the side mirror over here that goes like this, stuff like that, little things that you really wouldn't spend time on making sure that it's detailed. That's what I want to focus on, and that's what I've been doing when it comes to my mocks. Another cool mock. Let me place Optimus back here. Hopefully he stands and not fall. It is a little hard sometimes for him because he wants to run, and I'm like, dude, I need you to kind of stay still. Another like I said, I'm really into cars, so
Nice.
this is something that that comes out of my mind and I think about, and I want it to be as detailed as possible.
Nice.
Even when it comes to engine and underneath the tailpipe and all that stuff. The hood, the trunk opens up and all that stuff, all these type of things. That's the type of detail I want to put to my mocks, because I want my mocks to speak of who I am as a builder, that I'm incredibly detailed and I pay attention to detail. And the problem with me is that I'm a perfectionist. So if it's not perfect, I'm not going to stop building it until it's perfect, at least into my mind. And then, then I go from there, then I move on to the next project. So I have a whole bunch of sets that I haven't even touched yet because I'm just what's the next mock that I'm going to be working on?
Yes. I love that. I love when I see people build outside of intellectual properties and just see when their mind comes out in brick form. It's so interesting to see what people come up with, because there's a transcendence to it. It's really, people are sharing a lot about themselves when they build their own ideas. That's just purely unadulterated and no influence from the outside. So I think that car is amazing. And I love the amount of detail you put on every side of it. That's really impressive. You're welcome. Thank you for sharing that with us. So do you attend in-person events? Have you been going to Lego conventions?
Well, before Lego Masters, I haven't gone to a lot. I've been to, we have I think Brick Fair in New Jersey. I do that. I've been to that a couple of times, and I went as a spectator just to see what it was about. What's there, and I never knew that the Lego convention and so many people are involved in it, and there's so many different aspects of it. Right now I'm just learning about, well, not just learning about, but I'm getting to see more of the Great Ball Contraption, the GBC.
Yeah.
And I teach, so I teach virtual Lego classes, and one of my classes is a GBC type class where I'm just teaching kids how to build just smaller versions of that with a marble. And I remember seeing it in real life and just like having my mind blown away. And I'm like, how can I be involved in all of this? Like, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And then Lego Masters happened. And that kind of changed me from being a regular spectator to now I'm like, all right, I'm part of this, I guess like celebrity
Right.
to a degree. So
Yeah.
the two events that I've been to, Bricks LA and Bricks Cascade, I couldn't even go in as a spectator. I was going in as, oh my gosh, you're a Lego master. Like, oh my, can I show you what I built? And I'm just like, yeah, sure. And I'm looking at what they built, and then I'm dragged to another place because I have to be at a panel, and then I have to do signatures and stuff. So it's like, oh, autographs and stuff. And I'm just like, oh man, I couldn't even really enjoy being a spectator just yet, or being someone who's involved in a brick convention, because now I'm part of this. And
Yeah.
who knows when we're going to be able to go back to live conventions and stuff like that. But I hope to be a spectator, and to be a person who can enter into, put in some of my work, and just kind of showcase my work as well. Because the one thing that I enjoyed about Lego Masters, but another thing that I kind of wish that they did more of, was to showcase our work outside of Lego Masters.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that we were all hoping for as Lego Masters, to just kind of, yeah, we're on the show, but this is how we got on the show. This is why we're on the show, to say, well, we're just not someone that the studio thought was, yeah, you look good on camera and you have a good personality, so we're going to just put you in the show. No, you actually can build with Lego, and you actually build stuff with Lego. So like, that's the one thing that I was hoping that we would have been able to see on Lego Masters. But that's what I hope to do when I get back into doing live conventions.
Yeah, and for your sake, I was hoping they would do the same thing and not treat you guys just like producible assets. And so I'm interested to see what happens in the second season, if they like bring you guys back as guests, or like do anything to promote kind of what you guys are up to, and kind of follow up with you and treat you like people. On that note, I'm going to, because the hour was designated for social issues conversation, I'm going to pivot to a couple social issues questions, probably just 2 or 3 before we open it up to a Q&A. And I'm gonna preface this by saying, like, in my experience, I get a little bit annoyed with people who think I'm some sort of new anomaly that they haven't experienced before, and I bristle a little bit when people and people mean well when they ask this. And I bristle a little bit when people are like, well, what can we do to be more inclusive of the LGBTQ community? And in the back of my head, I'm just like, I just treat us like anybody else. Like, just treat us like people. What do you expect? We're not a monolith. I can't answer that question for everybody. And then, but with that being said, I'm just calling out the fact that I'm going to treat you as somewhat of a monolith with this question. So I apologize for that. But it's very easy to see when you go to the Lego conventions that they are very male and they are very white. So if you've put any thought into this, what do you think that we can do as a Lego community, any one of us, can do to raise Black voices in the Lego fan community?
That's a great question. To be honest, let's kind of go backwards in a way. So when me and my brother was just learning about Lego, we learned about Lego through a daycare center that I used to attend as a kid. My parents, they had an apartment in a predominantly white town, Caucasian town. So, they had Lego there, disposable Lego that we can play with. And that was my first introduction to Lego. As we moved to a more urban environment, because, taxes and the price and the cost of living was going too high. So my parents was able to just move into a house in an urban environment. And I never saw Lego again in any capacity in those environments, only because of the fact we took Lego that we had and brought it with us, whatever. So it's always been a difficult topic to raise that awareness in the urban communities and Black communities about Lego, because, like you said, it's predominantly male and white, right? But Lego is meant for everybody. So one of the things that, at least for me and a couple of the other Lego masters, Mel Germain, We were the only four African American men on the show. And during casting, there were there were so many different races during casting. Like I would say maybe it was like a 60-40 split where it was white men, and then the 40% was like minorities. So there was a lot of people that came out to do the show. And one of the things that we saw and that we spoke about, even during the show, after the show, like, how come, why is it that we don't have more people like us coming out? And that's because a lot of them just say, hey, I play with Lego, but, there's nothing that's going to come of it. And we wanted to show and prove that, yes, something can come out of it, of, being boisterous and putting your stuff out there. So one of the things that we try to do is try to encourage our kids, our young Black kids to not be afraid to share with the world what you love to do, which is building with Lego. Nice. Even though you might not see a representation for yourself on TV, on advertisements for Lego, you can be that advertisement in yourself, yeah. Right? And that was some of the things that we spoke about and how we can encourage that. Now, when we talk about it on a broader spec, Lego has done a lot of stuff during this year where I feel was a good move.
Yeah.
Into the George Floyd, murder, killing, whatever you want to describe it as. They stepped out and they did a Blackout Tuesday alongside all of us. They mentioned Black Lives Matter, and they've touched on some of these issues. Now, you can hold your criticism to say, well, they're just kind of riding the wave that's going on right now that other companies are doing, but they don't have to ride that wave, right? So they chose to ride that wave, and then later on they did a celebration for LGBTQ communities, and I thought that was amazing because now it's like Lego is saying, hey, we're not only a kid's toy. There are adults that play with our toys, that build with our toys. There are people who love our company, and we can't remain silent on the things that are going on that are affecting our customers, our fans. So yeah. I like the fact that they started doing that. So that is something that is a step forward, in my opinion, of how we can be more inclusive and how we can raise more awareness in the Black community. And, the fact that, again, Lego Masters had 4 individuals, African-American men. You had Manny and Nestor, who are brown. And then you have LGBTQ in Flynn and Rich and Sam. They literally took America and put it out on national TV, which I thought was a great move. Because at the end of the day, that is who America is right now. So, I think that was good for what Lego did. And, when it comes to us, all we can really do is continue to encourage others who are, kind of scared to come out to say, hey, I don't want to bring too much attention to myself that I'm a Lego builder. No, bring that attention to yourself. At the end of the day, people are going to look at your work and they're going to celebrate your work, not necessarily, oh, you're a Black man that likes to build with Lego. No, it should just be your work is incredible, and oh wow, by the way, you're a Black guy. It's like right. That should be second. It should be more about your work that people are excited about.
Excellent. Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you on all counts. But with when it comes to Lego Group's response to some of the social issues that they've weighed in on this year, it does seem authentic to me. I know there's a lot of performative stuff going on out there, but they started their entire, and about a year ago, they started their Rebuild the World campaign, which has no product tie-ins. And a lot of what they're doing is like telling stories of kids from underprivileged communities, kids with disabilities, kids who just aren't from lower income levels, promoting nonprofits that people have started to help out children in their communities, and they don't, like you said, they don't need to do that. And when they do something like pull their Facebook advertising because they're tired of the disinformation not being stopped, I have to say I'm proud to be a Lego fan when that happens, because it's really hard to see a problem and not be able to do anything about it as an individual. But when a company you believe in takes a stand against something, it's really encouraging. It's really motivating. With all that said, where do you stand, you personally? Again, this is I hate to put you in the spotlight, but where do you stand on the issue of the yellow minifigure? Do you think it would help young Black children, young brown children, to see themselves represented in the toy? Because as a Caucasian myself, I kind of always just assumed yellow meant white, and so I was represented in it. Do you think that makes a difference, and do you wish they would address the issue?
So I'm glad you bring that up. So this is a conversation me and Travis actually had not too long ago, like a week ago. And, we were talking about that. And from what I remember, Travis's stance on it, and just speaking for him, is that he thought the same thing. He thought that that the yellow figures were representing, white, like white people. And it was like, for me, I was like, well, I thought that too, but then at the same time, I don't know anybody that I know that's Caucasian that are yellow. Right. So I always saw it as, okay, well, it's just a Lego character. So there's no race that could be associated with it because it's a Lego character. Yeah. So if I saw a space person, like the space, like a spaceman, they have a helmet on and a visor, and that's just a spaceman. If it was a pirate, it's just a pirate with an eye patch. Like that's how I always saw Lego. I never saw it as, oh, I'm gonna use this character to characterize me, because if I wanted to do that, I would just do that. I didn't need the skin tone necessarily to do that.
Nice.
But then over time, as I started to notice the hair that they would that is when it started to become, I guess, more apparent to me that I don't know nobody that I like. The certain hairstyles that they give the minifigs are not hairstyles that I have, or people that I know that have them that are Black, right? Mm-hmm. So the hairstyle kind of gives it away to what nationality the character is. Yeah. And then that's when you start to get the hairstyles or the hair pieces that are more coiled, like they look more Afro-like. So that, like, okay, well then that's more Black, in a way. I think that it's time that if Lego wanted to go in that direction of phasing out their yellow and having, even if they have package where you have different shades of color. If you notice, emojis started to do that a couple of years ago, where you have an emoji with a thumbs up, and when you click it, there's options now for different shades of color. Because emojis were all yellow, right? And it was a safe bet. Simpsons, all yellow.
Yeah.
Certain characters in the Simpsons, right? That clearly specified different races. So as you start to see those transitions going on in society, Lego, in my opinion, has a responsibility to address those changes as well. Just a quick story. Yeah. Our sig figs, when we were doing our sig figs for the show and they were showing our sig figs, I was disappointed in it. I was disappointed how my sig fig turned out.
Okay.
Travis's sig fig, perfect. It was a figure that it nailed Travis. The hair, the face, the smile, nailed him. But mine, I didn't like mine because mine didn't have a beard. And mine, I had like glasses on mine and like a little like small mustache. And I'm like, how come mine doesn't have a beard? I don't like the fact mine doesn't have a beard. And then when Jermaine and Mel looked at theirs kind of looked as the same. Like they could literally interchange them and it will be the same thing. It is like, I'm like
nothing alike.
Yeah, well, they do look alike in a sense, but still, like, so I saw that and I was like, man, how there's not a lot of options. That was what Lego said, like not Lego themselves, but when they were putting together our sig figs, there's not a lot of options for a sig fig to look like me.
Gotcha.
Afro in a full beard. There's not a lot of sig figs that look like me. So I have to literally kind of customize my own sig fig, but like, why should I have to do that? Everybody should have, like, if you have a minifig with a bearded face, why not have that same minifig with 5 different shades of skin with the same exact face? It's just a matter of changing the color. And I feel like Lego has the mold to do it. I feel like it will be an investment for them to do that. because then it will bring more people into feeling that they are being represented in these little things. So I just feel like Lego should definitely kind of move into that space, because everything else digitally, like the emojis, like I was saying, have moved into that space where you have different shades that represent who you are.
Yeah.
And I think Lego should be doing that.
Well, I think other toy companies have been doing it for decades. You know, they have research about kids building their self-esteem by being able to see themselves represented in the way that they're playing. And besides just studies, like I had a really emotional reaction to a woman who posted a video of her daughter on Twitter. She's crying about hating her hair because it'll never look like Belle's. And it just breaks my heart. Like, kids want to see themselves represented, and Lego seems to do it with the Friends line. There are different skin tones in the Friends line. And when I was a kid, I'm 44. When I was a kid and they had the earlier shop at home catalogs, they had a Duplo dollhouse, and you could buy the family that came with it, and they had all different skin tones for the family. And this was in the 80s. Actually, I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but I had a thought and I want to run with it. In talking about how kids develop their self-esteem through play and through seeing themselves represented, I was reading recently about people who have trouble drawing internal sources of self-esteem tend to be hobbyists and collectors. And I think, like, it was comparing, it was about the LGBT community and how about some of what we go through, we find it difficult to draw internal sources of self-esteem. I know we have a mixed audience here and this is going to be way over the kids' heads, but I'm wondering, through your experiences in life, do you find that what you've gone through as like being an other, that do you have trouble drawing internal sources of self-esteem?
No. And the reason why is because of the way I was raised as a kid. My parents always reminded me of who I was and who I am. And even as a young kid, like I said, when we were young, we didn't move from where we lived until I was like around 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old. Mm-hmm. We lived in a predominantly white town, and in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, racism was a lot more kind of evident in a way. So I've had my first experience with racism at a young age, at the age of like 6 or 7, like going into a pizzeria just to get a slice of pizza and then being called all types of negative names, and I remember it vividly because my sister was outside and she said, "Yeah, you want a slice of pizza?" She gave me $1.25. I went in there and asked for a slice of pizza. I was always polite. My parents taught me to be polite. And then I was told all types of stuff. And I didn't know what that meant. Mm-hmm. And I went back and I told my sister. And my sister, she's a bit of a firecracker. So she was the type to like, "Oh, I'm going to tear the place down." She's going to run in and go crazy because that's my little brother. You can't say that. But, people were able to talk her down from off of that steep ledge. Yes. But it was something that I experienced as a kid. And, when I told my parents about it, my mom, she was, my dad, he was very like straightforward, but my mom was always trying to, help me to see the better side of it. Like, there's going to be people that's not going to like you, because of your skin, and they don't even know you, but that's just how some people are. But you should not be that way towards them, and you should not think of yourself less because of that. So I said, okay. And, as I got older, and, I always kind of look within myself to say, well, I don't have a representation that I can kind of draw from in real life, with the exception of like civil rights leaders.
Yeah.
Who, they came way before my time, and I'm reading about them, but I didn't have anything nowadays that I can look to. But then, Michael Jordan came on the scene, and then, Mike Tyson, when he was in his prime, came on the scene. So I had those representations in sports. Nice. And I'm like, okay, well, people who look like me can be like this great at sports. Maybe I could be great as well. Uh-huh. Again, it was, for me, it was something that I was taught this at a young age, and it helped me to kind of just like look within myself to be that hero. And I always wanted to prove myself that I can stand on my own 2 feet and not use the crutch like, well, I'm a black guy, so you should give me a break, right?
Yeah.
I don't ever want, and I've never in my life told people or said, hey, it's because of the man that I wasn't able to get ahead. No, it's because of me that I'm not able to get ahead. Even though we do live in a society where there is, in my opinion, systemic racism that make it harder for a man like me to get ahead, mm-hmm. right? But I can't use that as a crutch, right? Like when President Barack Obama became president, the joke that me and my friends would always make was like, well, the man is keeping me down. We're like, well, the man is black now. Like the man is a black president. So what's the excuse now? That's the joke that we would always say to each other. But we sit and think about it. Yes, it's there. It's obvious, but you can't let that be your crutch to say, well, I can't get ahead because of this. Mm-hmm. And you're defeating yourself. You're giving up. And my parents have always taught me, if you want to be successful, if you want something in life, you need to go out and get it. You need to be forceful about it, to where you're not being violent or anything, but you're being determined to get out and get the success that you want. Yes. When I look at Lego Masters is an opportunity that if I was not consistent in advertising myself as an entrepreneur, as a Lego enthusiast, as a Lego builder, I may not have been selected to be on the show. And if I didn't carry myself the way I carry myself, like dressed like this, maybe that would not have been the deciding factor that me and my brother would have been selected over other people who may have been a better builder than us or what have you. So, excuse me, I've always looked at myself to encourage myself.
Yeah.
I didn't really look to other places to find that encouragement. But I just want to real quick go back to the story that you shared about the young girl who was crying because of her hair. My nieces, I have, my goodness, I have like 12 nieces. Right, I have like 12 nieces between the ages of like 40 something, way to 13.
Wow.
We have a very big and weird family, but anyway,
great.
One of the things that I remember, I have twin nieces, and they had a similar experience. And my sister said that she will never buy another Barbie doll until they fix this issue. And my sisters grew up playing with Barbie. Nice. Their whole lives. They grew up playing with Barbie until Barbie finally came out with a different with a black Barbie doll, and they were so happy about it. And the hair, what my sisters used to do, they used to mess up the hair and have the hair look wild and everything like that, because then like that's how our hair looks. It doesn't look it's wild and crazy. That's our hair. So her twin daughters got a gift for their birthday from a person. I forget who it is, and they got them, twin Barbie dolls. Like Barbie dolls came out with two twins, and they were black, and the hair was straight.
Yeah,
and they would look at it, and they're like, and they would try to mimic that with their hair. And they asked their mom, can we hot iron our hair? Can we get a perm? We want to match. We want to take pictures and match with our Barbies. And their hair wouldn't fall like that. And that really discouraged both of them, because they were like, how are we ever going to look like this if we're always going to look like this?
Right.
And my sister said, that's it. I'm never buying another Barbie until they fix this issue. Until she started buying at the time when they were younger, there was another more of a local company where a person would literally take Barbies, take the hair off, and put more authentic African American style hair.
Yeah,
and would buy that for her daughters, and they would be able to to kind of just kind of comb it and stuff like that and all that stuff. So they were able to find that resolution in that way. But it says a lot, because society paints a broad picture of what is deemed to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you don't match that beauty, then you're not beautiful. And then you spend your whole life trying to reach to that, and you would never reach to it, because society would just change the switch and say, hey, you know what? Natural hair is beautiful now. well, I spent all this money to make my hair straight, so I can't go back to being natural now. It's too late.
Right, right.
So that's the issue that we all face. But yeah.
Very it, this is a I really appreciate this discussion. It's so good to talk in this way. I have one last question before we open it up to questions from the group, and it comes with another preface of my own experience. Early 2000s, like there was a campaign in the LGBTQ community to create YouTube messages for younger members of the community to encourage them to keep going. And it was called It Gets Better. Sorry. And the message was like, it may be tough now, but it gets better. Right. Sorry, I didn't expect that.
Take your time, man. I feel it.
What would you say to young Black children out there who might be struggling or who might be feeling unrepresented or feeling down about themselves? What's your message to them?
My message to them is that, and I'm going to speak from the heart and be real. My message to them is that there's a good chance that things won't get better. Okay. Yeah. There's a chance that things might get worse. However, what I want them to know is that though society might go a certain way, mm-hmm. that they have the ability, they have the power to make their lives a shining example of determination. You know, like I mentioned before, growing up in my world, and as I went to high school, I went to a high school that was predominantly white because I went to a Black high school where I was nearly killed. You know, it was the gang violence that was going on in the high school was just something that my parents wanted to get me out of because I was hanging around the wrong crowd only because of the color of my skin and my background, which is Caribbean. So I had to be with them and I had to, you know, get out of that. And then as I was, you know, saying, all right, well, I'm going to fly right. I'm going to do good. I'm going to dress right. You know, I still got profile, you know, and as I grew up and got a corporate job and driving a nice car and, you know, clean cut, I still got profile. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I had to tell myself that, you know what, society may not change right now, but I can't fit the description. And that's the main message that I want to give. Don't fit the description of what they're looking for in someone who may have done something wrong. True words have never been more evident to me than with my grandmother. My grandmother came up to visit one year, and that was during my reckless times of wearing baggy jeans, big shirts, 4, 5X shirts that would fit a 300-pound man. I was wearing it and I was like $150, right? And I'm wearing these things and I'm wearing this hat to the side and, you know, I'm walking like this, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to fit in. I'm trying to be cool and everything. And my grandmother looked at me and she said, why are you giving people an excuse to assume the worst in you? Wow. And I said, and I didn't have an answer. And she was like, this is why you can't dress like this. Because if you dress like this, you go out there, people are going to they're going to make the assumption based on your appearance. And when they see that, they're going to make their assumption about who you are. And that's not who you are. You go to church, you're well educated, you're polite, you're emotional, and you're smart and all that stuff. So how can these traits represent you? So ever since that day, I stopped dressing like that because I want people to look at me and see all those traits that my grandmother saw. And for young Black kids who may be watching this now or in the future, you have to decide who you are as a person. Are you going to be the stereotype that they've already painted? Well, I don't want to say they, because they gives you the, that's too broad. What certain people in society have an opinion about you based on your color. Are you going to give them that image, or are you going to change that image? And again, I want to be very clear. Things might not change. You know, this has been an issue ever since my parents were children, you know, and this might be an issue when I become an old man, you know, so things might not change. But that does not mean that you should live that life because of the fact that they're expecting for you to live that type of life.
Right.
So I want to encourage you to keep pushing forward and keep looking to how can I be the best me for today? And the decisions I make today will be decisions that will affect me in the future. How can I be the best me today? That's the message that I would give to young Black kids. And,
that's amazing.
Without rambling, there was
go ahead.
When I was at we were at Bricks LA, and me and my brother did, you know, there was only commercials of us. The show didn't start, but me and my brother, we were there. We were laughing, joking, and everything. And then a mother came up to us, and she had 2 Black sons. She said, "Hey, can we take a picture with you guys? We saw a commercial, and we saw two guys that were dressed. Is that you?" We were like, "Yeah, that's us." And then the 2 sons came up to us and said, and they looked at us like as if we were larger than life. And we was like, "Hey, how you doing?" They were like, "We saw you on the Super Bowl." We was like, "Yeah, that was us. That was us." And then they were just like kind of looking up at us. And I said, "Hey, you know what? You realize that you guys could be where we are in a couple of years if you stay focused in school, you do your homework, and you build with Lego." And they were like, "Okay, we will." And we took this picture, and, you know, as they walked away, I had a little tear in my eye because I said, "You know, Travis, we didn't have this growing up."
Yeah.
You know, the stars that we saw on TV, they were mega stars. Like, we weren't going to run into them at conventions. We weren't going to run into them on the street. These kids probably see us at that level, and we just gave them something that they can carry with them for the rest of their lives. So I said, this platform that we now have, I'm going to use this platform to do just that. And not just for kids that look like me, but kids who don't look like me. I want to encourage them the same exact way, that they can do whatever they want if they put their mind to it, and if they're positive and if they're focused.
That is awesome. That is really powerful stuff. You're an incredibly powerful, inspiring person. And I can't thank you enough for being here today and having this conversation.
I don't have a question per se. I did send Corey. I hope it went to the right place. I sent a message to, I think it was room 7.
Is this Lynn?
No, well, I'm Ashton's mom. So
okay.
Ashton's
hi.
I wanted he mentioned that he teaches Lego classes, and I wanted to see if we could get some information about his classes, or where do we go?
To
find out about his classes.
Yes, I do see your message now. Yes, so so I do virtual Lego classes. I also do virtual private classes as well with Lego. If you go to let me see, I could type it in.
Yeah, please drop the link in the chat for everybody, and I'll make sure I get an ad up on our sponsor page for you as well.
Awesome.
Thank you.
If you go to samsbrego.com, that's my business name. Sam's is my nickname that I've always had, and Brego is BREGO, brooch and Lego together. That's my business thing. But on my website, I have all the information as far as classes are concerned. Currently, I'm doing an enrichment class that's already in its middle stage. However, I do Lego camps, like a weekly camp. I do private classes where it's a 5-week program. And then I'll be doing more enrichment classes towards the winter, doing weekly classes as well. So if you go there, and you can also reach out to me at samsbrego@gmail as well. So, you know, if you have more of a different structure, because I know everybody's kind of doing the virtual learning now, so your structure might be a little bit different from what I provide. I'm flexible. You know, this is my my focus now to do these virtual classes. So I'm home most of the day, if not every day. So I can definitely figure out what will work best for you and your family and your agendas. So I'll be able to fit in. And I deal with STEM. If you don't know what STEM is, it's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So I do a lot of STEM projects where we're doing foundational, fundamental stuff with Lego, working our way up to doing STEM projects using Lego Technic as our material. So I hope that answered your question. But you can always shoot me an email. We could talk a little further if you're interested.
Okay, thank you so much. And we actually own a Snapology franchise. So
nice.
About
awesome.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I have put up your website already. So yeah, I'll be getting in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're at 2:06 now, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next presentation. Again, Corey, I can't thank you enough for being here. I can't wait to meet you in person. I already feel like we're friends, and I've actually never seen you in the same room. But I'm really looking forward to it because I think you're a great guy, and I appreciate again your candor today.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much. This was a great opportunity. I'm so happy. I can't wait to do more of these.